Hello everyone. Welcome to The Eternal Wish. It's the first book in my trilogy that I wrote a couple of years ago. It's a wonderful first short novel in the fantasy realism series, the Wish trilogy. The animals have had enough of humans ruling, so now it's time for the tables to turn. But will this be for the better or for the worst? I always like the idea of humans not being the most powerful anymore, and that we'd go back to the animals ruling, a little bit like Animal Farm in that sense of philosophy. But of course, the book has nothing to do with Animal Farm. With the intervention of mythical creatures and a magical stone, a political and romantic adventure brings us a lot of teachings about life and its many lessons. It's an exciting exploration of values in a dynamic story that gets more and more exciting in books 2, Another Eternal Wish, and book 3, The Ultimate Wish. It's an enjoying and victorious read for young adults and above. So that's me just reading the back of my own book. There's a little biography about who I am as well. I'm Irish with some British ancestry as well. And I started writing basically when I was living abroad pregnant with my son Fergus and Aisling, my daughter Aisling. And what happened then was basically I had the urge to write. The story came to mind and I could really relate to it at the time. And I was inspired to start writing it, and it just got better and better, and I kept re-editing it until it became the great read it is today. So I hope you enjoy it. Let's start. The Eternal Wish, the first book in the Wish trilogy. There's an index at the beginning here as well. Chapter 1, The New World Gains Strength. Chapter 2, Hope is on the Horizon. Chapter 3, A Messenger from the Gods. Chapter 4, A Changeling King. Chapter 5, Exotic and its Charms. Chapter 6, Mighty Beast. Chapter 7, Confrontation and Resolution, as there always has to be a resolution. And epilogue is that nature is the ever powerful. So let's start. So grab your cup of tea and a blankie, and let's begin our story. I might have the odd interruption as I'm here at my boyfriend's place, and well, you never know who might come in and out with a machine or with a tool, or a dog might bark. So I'm going to work through the noise and interruptions anyway. As far as we can keep going, I'll keep going. So the new world gains strength. Chapter 1. Wild thoughts flashed through her mind from the night above. The screams, shouts, and wounded bodies clouded her thinking. Even the warm waves which crashed harmoniously onto the shore failed to console this young girl's pounding heart. There she laid, curled up, knees tucked in, and head down on the sandy beach. She was in her most vulnerable state, alone and unarmed. Fear had taken control. Nowhere was safe any longer. Anything or any other could just appear and do away with her. Her trembling body made her gashes deepen. She was in pain, and all she could do was wail and howl like a stray dog. Now she was one of the only humans left, and at the tender age of 16, she knew very little on how to survive by herself. She shivered at the thought of even trying to carry on. She knew that she too would soon be caught. Her slim fingers slowly started to turn chalky white as she clenched so tightly through her thick silvery hair. Then out of the blue, she let out a high-pitched scream. Its echo hit back from the misty cliffs as if purposefully trying to haunt her. She saw no future and no life. That was the point. What was the point, in continuing if she was outnumbered? Surrender would be easier than hiding, wouldn't it? This dark thought was soon replaced by an even more empowering one, as somewhere deep within, where what we call the soul, did she feel that as soon as she accepts this changing world and learns to live with it, then the sooner she would start to proceed, or succeed in it. Giving up was something she never did in her life. After all, she was born a fighter, and nothing could change that. So she stretched out, removing her sea-soaked curls from her face, and decided to close her eyes to get some rest when she felt a sudden sharp pinch on her right arm. "Hey!" she exclaimed, peering at a tiny knobbly crab crouched down by her side. Then she leapt up, and to her amazement, as if by magic, the creature seemed to grow in size. It was then that she knew she had to run for it. "Stop right there," boomed the now child-sized crab. "Where are you going?" Startled and already halfway across the shore, she cried, "Well, I'm running away from danger. From you. You just pinched me, remember?" Abruptly, the crab pleaded, "It was my only way of communicating with you." Fionnuala stopped in her tracks and turned around and yelled, "Is this some kind of trap? There's not much meat on me anyway." "No, no, don't go, please. I just need a friend. I can change my size according to my feelings. Don't be afraid. I need a human friend, now that the war with beasts has broken out." "All I wish for is peace," exclaimed the somewhat worried crab, who now appeared to sob incessantly, and concluded, "I too am all alone." At this great manifesto, Fionnuala came to a halt, shooting a cloud of wet sand into the air, and she began to realize that she hadn't even given him a chance. Maybe his situation was indeed parallel to her own. Seeing that, Fionnuala was now more interested, as she had turned around and started to reapproach him. The black-bodied and red-striped crab continued to speak, almost as if in a mad rush for fear of being heard. His voice had lowered into a serious whisper. "The old world's gone now. You know, the one where humans reigned. They destroyed themselves, really, but as nature has it, things need to be remedied. Mother Nature fought back and reestablished itself as the new world. Now the beasts dominate the humans. Indeed, this has seemed great and glorious, but having animals dominating, like anything having ultimate power, means that injustices also happen. Right now, the beasts have joined forces to crush any last humans for fear of the old world returning, and to get rid of any non-new world worshippers. Yet they're making a big error, as they're also destroying life." After a brief pause, he ascertained, with a calculating look in his face, "So you must be one of the last then." He next took a huge gasp of air after such an effort, held his breath, gulped, and sunk into the sand. Fionnuala remained speechless. Now she felt that there maybe was something to fight for. Although she had half figured out what was happening, she hadn't realized how bad matters were. Once the beasts had taken control, they hunted down humans and fed upon them. Contrary to Mother Nature's rule that species must learn to cohabit, the beasts had had enough, and all they were after was pure revenge. Revenge after centuries of human dominance and cruelty. Mesmerized in her thoughts, Fionnuala awoke to the crab jerking her arm. He signaled to her to jump upon his back in order to show her something quite special. Strange enough, she actually felt that she could trust him. It was best to follow her instincts, as she had nothing else to rely on. In haste, they scuttled along the shore until they reached a rock pool, dug a hole, and in they went, shrinking to the size of a chickpea. Now, Chapter 2, Hope is on the Horizon. I'll keep going then. His home was simply amazing and well hidden. It was where the crab, who had by now introduced himself as Crink, told Fionnuala why there was a war in the first place. He monologued on while Fionnuala watched and listened intently from a seashell stool. Her white, thin body was warmly wrapped in dark green seaweed, and she now seemed to tremble less. Too long humans had control and mistreated the beasts. Should have a quick pause there. They were slaves. It was time for them to gain revenge. This was aided by magic. Magic was found in the deepest caves of the highest mountains and brought alive. Rumor has it that a powerful warlock intentionally found a most unusual shiny stone. Apparently, he was no ordinary warlock. He was a changeling, being half human, half beast. This magical stone, once removed from its place, cast a spell or undid another. Who's to tell? But things have now gotten out of hand. This stone, wherever it is, triggered the recent power shifts, I've heard. This stone should be found and destroyed. But first things first, observe the beasts that are behaving worse than the humans. The hunting, the sacrificing, the destruction of nature itself. They've caused devastation within hours. However, it is believed that some of us beasts, those who are in hiding, want stability and harmony, and the majority only want revenge. We are in great danger. So after a brief, passionate pause and a further gasp of air, he chuckled with a sigh. Perhaps I'm dreaming about an unreal state. Maybe I'm the only one who wants to live in an impossible peaceful world. Vanilla thought long and hard about Cramp's words. There was a key moment of silence between the two. I didn't know what was happening, and Crink, I really don't care about these affairs. I must survive and I want to go home, said the upset girl, quite matter-of-factly. So where's your home? Inquired Crink. Well, I really don't know. I just recall the lush green pastures, the poppies, and the freedom. Fionnuala's home was indeed glorious. She remembers running through the tunnel foliaged paths, and when the mist would descend its cloak upon the moors, she felt that nature was one big mystery, and that she was a real part of that. That night, when the beasts came carrying flame lances into her village, her family hid, but were soon captured and slaughtered before her eyes. Next thing she remembered that she had lost her footing, fell to the ground, and hit her head hard. This was when everything blacked out. The beast must have thought that she was dead and just left her there. And that's when she woke up stranded on that beach all alone. I don't know where your home is. The old world is long gone. In fact, it's obsolete, Crink abruptly interrupted her thoughts. Fionnuala didn't seem too convinced about this, and she felt like she had swallowed a stone on hearing his words. Did he need to be so blunt? Had he no emotion? Indeed, if Crink was a bit more tactful, maybe his news wouldn't have been so hurtful. So she took his comment with a pinch of salt, as she felt that he didn't really mean any harm. Turning around with his eel-shaped teapot in one hand and a starfish glass in the other, as if having a brainwave, he continued, You must care about this somewhat political matter. If we don't care, we won't be doing ourselves any favours. It's time to act. Throughout history, the fight for justice has always existed, no matter who or what or where you are. Be you safe or unsafe. I know that complete equality and democracy can never truly exist, but we could at least try and find someone or something that could re-establish some order here. Worst would it be to sit back and do nothing. Political affairs are in everyone's best interest, and a society needs rules to live by. And in our case, why can't the beasts and humans live side by side peacefully and respectfully? Crink had long needed to voice his opinion on the whole situation, and he knew that by staying quiet, one fails to achieve anything in life. It is best to be bold and brave in this world than living like a coward. Crink himself wasn't young anymore. In fact, his wisdom was gained from decades of experience. He had always lived down in the rock pool. It was his family home. It was safe, snug, and resistant. It was an ideal home. Every day he would go out walking and swimming, which allowed him to closely observe the happenings around him. Most of the time he did not like what he saw. He had witnessed all that went on in the old world, and over time he started to ponder on events and he began to formulate his opinions. Luckily for him, he could hide quickly from danger. He also had one magical power that allowed him to change his size. He could be as big as a horse or as small as an ant, and he never had to use this ability too often, but usually when he did, it was because he felt threatened. So there is one solution that I know of, and that is the Wishing Woods. They have the ability to grant wishes, but only allowing one wish a year. However, it may be dangerous to get there, and no one has easily succeeded in finding them, as they can disappear and reappear whenever they wish. Ha! Chuckled Crink, feeling the need to lighten the situation. My dog has come to listen to the story. Isn't that wonderful, Sheba? Good girl. Come up here, so let's lie down. Let's lie down or not? Now, we'll give a pause there. Oh, wait, we haven't finished the chapter. I think we should try both and find these woods. They are our only hope, and at least it is something to live for both of us, assured a more empowered Fanula, now feeling that something or anything ought to be done, and better sooner than later. If it was her chance to do something, then now she felt she should. And so the deal was sealed with a cup of seaweed tea. And the next day they would set out on their travels, little realizing just how risky the whole affair would be. So we'll continue on there to chapter 3, A Messenger of the Gods, in our next recording. And we get on to chapter 4 as well, A Changeling King. We'll keep going. And we'll probably get in chapter 5 as well, it's quite short, which is Exotica and its Charms. So stay tuned. And we'll just pause it there.